Hello there. Namaste. Kaushik here from Tanashvi Fintech. So, if you have watched part one of the ABC of inflation, then this is part two. And if you have not watched part one, quickly just look at the playlist and just watch part one before you come to part two. Okay, so let's go and see something more about inflation. So, a very simplistic example of why inflation happens. So, let's say there are 1,000 people earning 1 lakh rupees per month. Suddenly, the government decides each one will be given 1,25,000 rupees per month. So everybody is very happy. They think they're richer. But when they go out to buy things, they find that the prices have increased. Why? Because everybody has 25,000 rupees more and everybody wants to buy more things with more money. Net result, the value of money, more money actually reduces. Very simplistic example, but this is why one of the very, what should I say, very simple way of explaining why inflation happens. Okay, so what causes inflation? So there are two sides. One is supply side, one is demand side. I am not an economist. I'm not sounding like an economist, but these are pretty basic things. So one is supply side. So what happens is uh, you get lesser of goods and services. Therefore, there is inflation. And the reduction in production due to input costs, due to higher wages, due to supply chain disruptions, like what is happening now, uh, imported inflation. For example, prices of oil increases, so that is imported inflation. Increased taxes and regulations. So GST, before the GST was brought down for many things, it was at 18%, and that added to the increase of price, right? So that was a supply side inflation. Now there is demand side inflation, so which is the example which we just spoke about in the previous slide. So demand side means too much money chasing too few goods and services. So what happens is that let's say freebies, subsidies. They put a lot of money in people's hands. Great. But though that money is not backed up with increased production of goods and services. So what happens is people get more money in their hands, they go out and spend more, and then the prices rise. And so increased household spending, expansionary fiscal policy, the government starts spending more. We obviously have that spending mode is helped by rapid export growth and increased money supply. So these are the reasons why demand side inflation happens. Now, there is no good or bad. I'm talking about inflation. Look, inflation is a part of our life. We are trying to understand why it happens and what makes inflation happen so that we are well informed about the investing decisions we make. Now, the principal cause of inflation, we believe, and many economists believe that it is the government. So if you look at this chart, so the black line is India money, M2 money supply. M2 is basically all deposits. Okay. So how much money supply is coming into the market. So India M2 money supply is black, and the blue line is gold price in rupees per 10 gram. Now, if you look at this, then what you see essentially is that there is a very high correlation between increase of money supply and increase in price of gold. You can leave aside the last 1.5 years of aberration, but broadly, gold price and M2 money supply keeps company with each other most of the time. Okay. Now, this graph, okay, if you see the bar graph, this is all percentage of fiscal deficit of GDP month wise, okay, quarter wise for the last 10 years. Now, if you look at it, is that means every year the government is spending more that it earns. Okay. Now, look at it this way: if I am a household and I am borrowing every year, would you term me as responsible? I think not. Okay, I'll be termed as irresponsible. But governments can borrow, keep borrowing. Why? Because they control money printing. They have what we call the sovereign guarantee, which means that they will never default on their payments, right? Now, bear in mind that this figure of fiscal deficit is only the central government figure. We have not included state governments. Okay, we are coming to that. So this is the cumulative debt. which is carried by central government and all state governments, and look at the figure in the last 10 years. In 2013-14, the cumulative debt of central and all state governments were in the range of 75, 76 lakh crores. Today, that figure is sitting at around 230 lakh crores. So that's like a threefold increase, threefold increase in 10 years, right? So this doesn't sound responsible at all. And this is why inflation happens, because more and more money is being pumped into the market. Basically, the government is spending money it does not have. Now, let's look at this logical thought piece. Okay. Who manages money supply? RBI. Who manages currency printing? RBI. Who is the largest borrower in the market? It's basically the central and state governments put together. Who manages issue of debt for central government and most state governments? It's the RBI again. If interest rates increase, who will be affected the most adversely? The largest borrower, which is who? The government. Who publishes the inflation figures? Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, Government of India. Now, when inflation is high, interest rates have to be increased. However, it is in government's interest that the interest rates be kept low. Otherwise, their interest burden increases and they are unable to borrow as much money. Low rates, however, on the other hand, mean that household savings are not earning enough. So this is a problem. The problem is that the interest of the household and the interest of the government are on two poles. Savings need higher rates, spending needs lower rates. Government is not looking at saving, it is looking at spending. So therefore, unfortunately, we will always have this scenario where government is continuously spending more than it earns, and that deficit is fulfilled by increased money supply. That money supply increase is made possible by lower interest rates, and it adversely affects all households. Okay. So this is the truth. Okay. Now we cannot shy away from this truth, which will bring us to part 3 of ABC of inflation. Stay tuned. And if you like our content, please like and subscribe.